Imagine hearing a mysterious sound every single day for 13 years. It's so regular, it almost becomes part of the family. But what happens when a repairman finally uncovers the shocking truth behind it? Stay tuned to find out what was hidden in the walls all along. But before we start our story, smash the like button, make sure to subscribe and hit the notifications bell so you won't miss any new stories. We've all experienced our fair share of creepy noises somewhere that we've lived over the years, but usually those sounds are easily explainable. Although they may sound somewhat supernatural, most noises you hear at night are down to boring physics or maintenance needing to be done. Take the clunking, for example. No, it's not the ghost of Christmas past, it's just the radiators cooling as the heating goes off. Ominous squealing, like the lost souls of children. Go oil your hinges. Don't even get me started on the floors, creaking away as if the legions of the night are on their way up to steal my blankets. When you're alone in the small hours of the morning, is there any sound worse than the sneaky tread of an imagined axe murderer? Come on, guys, it's just your floorboards flexing. The dropping temperatures at night shrink the wood. Or maybe it's the dampness seeping into them, making them expand. They're rubbing against each other, or whatever else they're touching. Death is not waiting in the linen closet. But hang on, I hear you say, what about the attic? I'm pretty convinced that in a house I lived in some years ago, there was a convention of ghoulies and ghosties every single night up there among the rafters. What kind of simple, everyday explanation can we possibly come up with for such a racket? Well, let's face it, it can't be paranormal activity. We've all checked it out in the daylight, brave enough with our housemates holding the ladder below us. There's no ectoplasm, nothing is out of place. There's not even any evidence of an escaped lunatic hiding out there, or anyone's secret mutant twin. It's almost disappointing. We've covered what that noise most probably is. Those old pipes warming up when we turn on the heating, the wooden beams of the roof settling as the weather cools. There's probably a ton of stuff up there, and temperature and humidity are playing with it all, moving it millimeter by millimeter before it shifts enough to bump into a new position. Then there's plastic. Plastic bottles pop with changes in pressure. Pipes can fill up with condensation. Taps can work loose and drip. Depending on what they're hitting, that can sound like a whole plethora of weird and wonderful conceived catastrophes. Birds might nest in the chimney. The wind might lift a loose tile. If you get up there and have a look, there are 1,001 things that it could be, all usually fixable with 5 minutes and some basic tools. Maybe it's summertime, and new noises are plaguing your sleep. Stuff contracts when it gets cold, and similarly expands when it gets hot. The summer sun beating down on your peaceful abode can populate it with season-specific mutters and bangs. The shingles, for example. They are lying against other shingles. Wood, maybe debris on the roof. The sun heats them up and the party gets started. And it's not just temperature, water, small animals, or wind causing havoc. The cold water pipes are vulnerable to air pressure building up. That can cause what sounds very much like hammering coming from the walls. It's not something you want to have to wake you up in the middle of the night. I know I've been practically reaching to dial 911 to report an intruder before common sense has taken over and asked me, inside the walls, what other noises can we think of? Oh, I know. How about the bubbling, popping kind of noise that sounds like a witch is boiling a cauldron with your name on it? That's not only boring, but a bit icky too. Inside the water heater, sediment collects on the bottom. The little eddies created in the water by heating nudge the sediment around and release the trapped air amongst it. Boiling water. Lastly, we have the whistle. Less creepy, spooky, or downright scary, and a lot more annoying. That's probably your AC system. If the air is obstructed at all, it will make a whistling noise as it travels through the confined area. Just like when you whistle through your teeth. So when the filter needs cleaning, the air whistles through, exacerbated by the unit trying to work to the same level and exerting extra pressure to do so. Okay, so we've exhausted all the usual possibilities for odd noises in houses. However, we still don't seem to have solved Jerry and Sylvia's problem. Could it be that we'll have to call in the Ghostbusters? One thing is for certain, the noise is so unnerving that it even upsets visitors if they happen to be there at the wrong time. Familiarity breeds contempt. It seems that although the guests are jumpy, the Lynns hardly register their weird noise anymore. After all, it has been with them for 13 years. When the news channel CNN got hold of the story in 2017, Jerry explained to them that it simply doesn't bother them. "It's kind of cute," he added, "like a noisy hidden house pet maybe." It's no wonder that the Lynns have grown used to their companion sound. 13 years is a long time. It's almost a dog's lifespan. It's from baby to teenager. Yes, people, 2004 was officially the dark ages. The dawn of social media was only just tinging the midnight blue of a lonely, online friendless sky. Facebook was founded in 2004, but was only in use by a specific network of local users. It was 2006 when it opened up to the public. Since then, over 2 billion people worldwide have signed up for cute cat pictures and doggo memes. 2004 saw Athens host the Summer Olympic Games. It was the first time Greece has hosted since the inaugural Games back in 1896. Since then, we've seen the Games hosted by Beijing, London, Rio de Janeiro, and next year by Tokyo. Nothing gets the blood pumping like the Olympics, and 4 billion people are believed to have watched the Olympic flame complete its 4-year journey to light the torch of Athens as the Games started. So do we have any details on the infamous sound? Well, Sylvia tells us that it happens every day at the same time, but only for about a minute. Taken on a day-by-day level, that's not as long as a commercial break, and probably quieter and less annoying. Thinking about it from a cumulative point of view, we realize that the Lynns have had to listen to this noise for roughly 3 days worth of time. That's got to grind on the nerves a bit, right? You'd think that hearing the same noise, at the same time, for the same length of time, every single day for 13 years would have put them in an asylum soon enough. But Sylvia and Jerry simply learned to live with it. After all, they heard it around 4,750 times. Anyone can get used to something with that much practice. The noise was predictable and regular. It got to be that they anticipated it. Maybe there was a frisson of hope each day in the minutes beforehand that it wouldn't happen. So when did it all start? Well, there's a story to that as well. In September 2004, Jerry was doing every homeowner's favorite thing, connecting up home entertainment wires. The frustration inherent in such a fiddly, complicated, and generally downright confusing task usually leads us to extremes, and Jerry was no different. He decided that the easiest way to do this would be to start punching holes in the wall. He got out his trusty drill, but there was a problem. How would he know where to place the hole? He needed the connection to line up just right. And then Jerry had the idea. Obviously, the best thing to do would be to tie an object to a piece of string and then lower it into the wall cavity. If the object could pass through the area, then it must be free of wires or pipes that would make it unsafe to drill there. Up Jerry went to the next level of the house. He found an upstairs air vent, readied his object, and started lowering it through the vent and down behind the walls of the floor below. But there are more problems to surmount. You might have spotted the flaw in the plan already. Jerry wouldn't be able to see where the object was behind the wall. He had to take the plan to another level. Being a resourceful man, he soon thought up a solution. He would use something that made a noise. Then he could listen for the sound and know just where the item was dangling from its string. Fate stepped in when Jerry tied a small digital alarm clock to a string and lowered it into a wall cavity. He had set the alarm for 10 minutes, anticipating it would guide him to drill the right spot. What seemed like a foolproof plan took a turn when the clock unexpectedly slipped from its position and fell. Jerry was undeterred. The hole he needed to drill was near the floor, and as long as the batteries hadn't popped out, the clock would still go off. He assumed it would stop after a few months when the batteries died. The clock, however, had other plans. Christmas came and went, but the alarm kept ringing. Over 13 years, the clock sound became a part of the Lynn's daily life, going off at the same time every day. They eventually grew accustomed to it, as the gradual increase in volume was less startling. The alarm became a quirky conversation piece when guests visited, but the Lynns were content, reasoning that the clock would stop soon. Their peaceful acceptance was interrupted when local business owners, Dawn Michelucci and Keith Anderson, who had seen the story on TV, decided to help. With better tools, they managed to locate the clock, hidden in the vent system. After retrieving it, they found the clock's batteries were still working, albeit slightly corroded. Jerry was surprised to see the clock again, having forgotten what it looked like after so many years. Despite the mishap, Jerry remained proud of his idea, admitting the failure was due to poor execution, not a lack of creativity. The Lynns, however, planned to display the clock proudly in their home, marking the end of its 13-year run in the wall.